Welcome to the Sociology channel. In this lecture, we are discussing about social constructionism, social construct, social construction. This is a very comprehensive concept of sociology. And in this lecture, we are studying this particular concept of social constructionism as a basic concept of sociology. Our objective of studying this particular concept in this lecture is to empower ourselves so that we are able to study sociology further. Since this is a very comprehensive concept, we would be using several scholars and several prominent sociologists to understand this concept. Let us proceed further with a very important question. Who has constructed this washroom? If this washroom has been constructed, so naturally it feels that some laborer would have constructed this washroom. But we are sitting here as a student of sociology. So naturally we are looking at this question from sociological point of view. As a sociologist, we are looking into this particular question. So let us re-ask ourselves who has constructed this washroom. Now the question is, in my first slide, I used the image of Indian squat toilet. Why I didn't used Western toilet, or why I used Indian squat toilet? What was the reason behind this? When we are thinking of washroom, we are also thinking of men urinals. Men could have a urinal and they will not have some hygienic issues with respect to this. Whereas sharing common bathroom brings a important health and hygiene issue for women. So bathroom becomes a very important and essential element for women who are venturing out of their house. Let us think again with respect to our question, who constructed this washroom? Now you must be understanding that washroom is not a simple element. It's not just a part of infrastructure. It's not just a part of a building. When we see one bathroom for male and one for female, do we think that equality has been met? Once I visited a university, the Education Studies department. I saw that men's side of toilet is there's hardly anyone using that toilet. And when I looked at women's side of toilet, I saw a huge queue. In that particular building, the number of men's toilet and women's toilet was same. Is it equality for that Education Studies department of that particular university? Recently, we have seen that the number of student who takes admission in Education Studies discipline is approximately 80-90% female and 10 to 20% of male. So in this case, having equal number of toilet, equal number of washroom for men and women, does it brings equality? So now we are understanding that the question who constructed this washroom is a very important question. It's not a simple question. And whenever in any building a washroom is constructed, do we solicit opinion from women who would be using that bathroom. As far as my personal understanding goes, I think that using Indian squat position will make using washroom more hygienic, more cleanliness from that perspective of health and hygiene. But this is my personal opinion. Is there any survey conducted that what percentage of women would prefer to have Indian squat position toilet in a particular building when it comes to women, and what percentage of women would prefer to have a Western design toilet? Why such survey has not been made when we are planning about that particular building, be it the building of education studies department or be it the building of a marketing complex? Why such opinion is not solicited? Clearly, washroom is not constructed by laborer. Some other power is constructing that washroom. The question still remains, who constructed that washroom? Who constructs washroom? Generally, washroom requires privacy, and we also use it to concentrate on our problems. But washrooms are also a place for discussion. When there is a segregation between washrooms, male discusses among themselves and female discusses among themselves. There is no intergender interactions going on. And we know that we are a patriarchal society. So most of the knowledge quote unquote, still remains in the purview of male. The one gender which suffers largely because of this segregation of bathroom is female. Now we understand that washroom is also a very political space. It becomes a space for friendship. It becomes a space for certain other intersectionality which crosses sociology as a discipline. But our question is still unanswered. Who constructs washroom? Who has constructed this washroom which you are seeing on your screen? Now we know that Government of India is promoting the building of washrooms. You can see, anyone who can read Devanagari Lipi, Devanagari script, can read that it's written Izzat Ghar. Izzat means respect. Ghar means house. A house which gives respect. Now there is another image, and again in Devanagari Lipi, Devanagari script, it's written मेरी डोली जाए उस घर में शौचालय हो जिस घर में. A very important aspect of human's life, marital ceremony, marriage ceremony, has been attached to this washroom. This washroom does not look so simple to me now. A person will not get married, will not get a chance to cohabit his life if he is not having toilet, if he is not having this washroom. So clearly we can see that an element of safety for women has now been associated with this washroom. But the important question is, why venturing outside is unsafe for women. It is not unsafe for some other gender. When a woman ventures outside their house, who makes it unsafe? Why respect? The word respect has been associated with the usage of washroom, with having one washroom in one's house. Why defecating is presented as something despicable? As an animal, everyone defecates. Urine, passing urine and potty should be a simple thing. It is presented as something despicable. Is it natural? Quotation mark on natural. Is it natural? We need to keep asking this question with ourselves. This washroom does not look a simple thing. This washroom is a political question. This washroom is a sociological question. This washroom is not only about health and hygiene. Why you have brought this word respect? Clearly, this washroom is not a natural construct. It seems a social construct to me. And why this construct has been made in this manner? Can you look it from social stratification perspective? Caste. Can we even take a single breath in India? Breathe in, breathe out. Even a single breath could be complete if we do not recall caste system. How this entire image, how this entire imagery presentation and political presentation is connected to the caste system. And when I use the word caste system, I would not restrict the usage of this word only to the purview of India. I am talking about entire world. Wherever human resides, I am talking from that perspective. Who constructed this washroom? Now we have answer. And we'll keep studying about this concept till our last day of studying sociology. They read this quote which is visible on your screen from Alexander Kira. Kira is quoting one of the bases of the class or caste system is that we ostracize and despise those who do the most necessary and unpleasant tasks with the least opportunity to keep themselves clean. Thus, wealth and cleanliness are the marks of idleness and superior virtue, dirt and poverty being the insignia of labor. Understand how it is being argued that the concept of cleanliness is connected to the concept of caste, to the concept of class. Class may not be a universal concept, but we know that caste is a universal concept. So let us focus ourselves on the word of caste. Caste, unpleasant task, respect, cleanliness, despicableness. Attach all these words and understand what is being communicated to you. Construction of washroom is a social construction, and how it is connected to caste. Mahatma Gandhi is on protest. It is being hailed as satyagrah. On another side, Indian citizens are on protest. It is being called as anarchy. The question is, who defines anarchy? Who says that this is anarchy? See that something which feels like abstraction is actually a visible object. This object is so much visible that you cannot unsee it. You do not need too much of Mill's sociological imagination to look the difference of these two images and the name these two images are being given. We are understanding that how this social construction works. We are understanding that we are not focusing on what is right or wrong. As a sociologist, as of now, that's not my question. My question is just to understand the social construct of anarchy, how it is satyagrah, how it is anarchy. Who defines anarchy? Now, let us read this, one of the most important line from Giddens. Social constructionism is a perspective which begins from the premise that social reality is the product of interactions between individuals and groups, not something to be taken as neutral. Oh, sorry, natural. Giddens is using few important words. Just focus on that. Product of interactions between individuals and groups, not something to be taken as natural. There is a social reality where interactions between individuals and groups are happening, and it is not something natural. If it's not natural, could it be made natural? Anything which is not natural, can a society present it like natural? Could it be presented or argued as natural? We know the answer to it. Now let us look at these words. Social constructionism. Sometimes we use this concept to understand about a particular concept in a much deeper manner. Just like we studied norms, deviance. Let us say social constructionism. What could be antithesis to it? Not exactly in that sense. Biological determinism, critical realism, scientific. These are the words which comes into play when we are studying about the concept social constructionism. So, someone will say sex is a biological determinism. Someone will say that sex is a social constructionism. What is biology in it? What is scientific in it? And how much is a social construction into it? How much social construct is in sex as a male, female, and other sex, cisgender, transgender? How much is biological determinism? Social construction is so much so important concept that now I will show you some prominent sociological concept which comes from this social constructionism concept. Childhood. We know that childhood is natural, normal. Is it so that childhood is a normal, natural concept? Biology determines childhood. Is it so? If it is so, why Constitution of India defines early childhood as 0 to 6 year, and in National Early Childhood Curriculum Framework they defines early childhood as 0 to 8 years? A difference of 2 years. Is that not a remarkable difference? This biological determinism is suddenly taking a backseat. Why? Philippe Ariès, Philippe Ariès in his one of the most remarkable work, Centuries of Childhood, argues that childhood is not a universal concept. At one point of time, children were treated as miniature adults. Around World War II, when Industrial Revolution was at its peak of that time, children were a regular worker in factories settings. In 1920, a very popular concept of preschool came from Maria Montessori, and she identified that it is not good for children to loiter around on road or street or to work in factory settings, and a conception of preschool was made in a professional settings. Although preschool as a concept is a very old concept, whenever childhood, now we can see that childhood is very less to do with biology, very less to do with Erikson, very less to do with Piaget. It has too much to do with social constructionism. We had discussed in our previous lecture that how the concept of agency is sometimes given to children and is also snatched in the name of safety. Let us proceed further into a different age group of human. After childhood comes adolescence. Is adolescence again a biology, or it is also a social construct? Let us read this important text. Adolescence and aging are socially constructed, and that such social construction of adolescence and aging vary from society to society and from community to community. I have cited the reference. You can go to that research paper and read the full paper. The chief argument of this popular research is that individual life course is not universally experienced in the same manner. Through some laws also we see this. The age of consent in some nation is 15 years and in some other nation is 18 years. The age of marriage for some is 21 years and for some other is 18 years. Adolescence or all this life age concept is a social construct. Social constructionism is such an important concept. Environment, all scientific, critical realist data we can bring, and we can understand that what kind of environmental issues we are having. But Giddens shares some very important point here. How a particular environment issue is presented among legislature so that it is seen as an environmental issue, and rest other environmental issues would be ignored. Giddens argues that do nature ever speaks for itself? No. It is society which is speaking up for nature. Even environmental issues are social construct. Gender. Very popularly we know that gender is a social construct. We will study more about it as we proceed further with our discussion. But since scope of this lecture is limited, so we will just see this book from Simone de Beauvoir. One is not born, but rather becomes a woman. This is one of the most popular line into feminism. Simone de Beauvoir argues that women are not born as a separate womanhood, but rather become women through societal expectations, norms, and cultural influences. How much biological determinism and how much social construction? This is an entire social construct. We will come back to this concept again when we would be reading about other popular sociologists and sociology of gender. Literacy, 100% literacy rate, 93% literacy rate. We are measuring it so easily. Is it a natural concept? I can read scripts in Roman script, Devanagari script, I can read English, I can speak Hindi, English, a few other languages I can understand. I'm illiterate. Such a scientific concept it seems. But it is a social construct. How? The idea of testing the literacy. This is a social construct. The idea of testing literacy has been changing on a historical scale. We know the Bourdieu. We'll study it. We'll come back to this concept of cultural capital when we would be studying about stratification, caste, race. Bourdieu has successfully presented that how literacy, the concept or ideation of literacy, is attached to the concept of cultural capital. How we see school and literacy and test on a parallel line. Social construct. The manner in which we look at reforms in education to increase literacy is something social construct. What is the legitimate form of literacy? Whose idea is to be accepted as a benchmark of literacy? Legitimacy into literacy. Literacy is again a social construct. Technological system. Science is a discipline. Technology is something when we use science to reach a particular objective. If there is a problem which requires to be solved, will it get solved depends upon the problem relates to which group. The recent delivery apps. Do we belong to such social group which has a problem of purchasing, problem of time, problem of transport, problem of parking? So there comes delivery apps. Which problem will get solved? This technological system is again a social construct, and it is a very complex social construct starting from the time we were having bicycle, pedaling cycle, motorbike. How different motorbike is presented differently. Understand this. This technological system is a social construct. Identify this. Spinney sells used car, and this is one of their advertisement, and their significant sales comes from women. Identify how this technology and women is getting connected, but women and used cars are getting connected. Used cars and women. Are we seeing some kind of connection? Social construct. International law. Now, some law to which entire world has agreed, it seems so natural justice, natural jurisprudencia. It is also a social construct. Carlo Focarelli successfully argues about this in his popular work, International Law as Social Construct, The Struggle for Global Justice. He argues that the lawmakers, the legislature, are they just jurisprudence? From the point of view of this lecture, of this discussion, see that how international law is also a social construct. Race. For the purpose of discussion here, I have joined race and caste together. Race is a social construct. But what is race? Caste is a social construct. And recently, it is very popular to see race from the lens of caste. One of the popular work which I am discussing in this lecture itself, Ashley Montagu is discussing about race, and read the text and see how successfully he is arguing that race is actually the caste system. Ashley Montagu was one of the, could be considered as the first person to show us, first anthropologist to show us the fallacy in this race, to argue, successfully argue that race is a social construct. He is quoting that when we speak about the race problem in America, it is actually the caste system. This point is again argued by Isabel Wilkerson in her popular work Caste, the Origin of Our Discontents. Now, I have taken this paragraph, please read it. We think we see race when we encounter certain physical differences among people, such as skin color, eye shape, and hair texture. What we actually see are the learned social meanings, the stereotypes that have been linked to those physical features by the ideology of race and the historical legacy it has left us. The idea of race is actually the idea of caste. This point we'll argue further when we will be discussing about caste. But for the time being, understand that how race is a social construct and equally caste. This concept I took as my last point of discussion because this is something as of now we all have finally agreed to. Now there is no argument that this is not social construct. Now we basically see things beyond it to identify how it is still impacting everything that we do. We all have agreed to it that caste and race is a social construct. But what next? That is something which we will see. So I would want you to leave with this thought. Isabel Wilkerson The name of the book is itself very interesting, and it's a must-read book for every student of sociology. Thank you very much for joining me here. See you in my next lecture. Thank you very much.